This summer, I'm running a new series of videos in which I review classic episodes of Doctor Who. Each week will see me watch a popular story from each Doctor that I've never seen before, then give my thoughts on the episode in a short but detailed review. I continued this week with the 7th Doctor serial, Survival. This story is famous for being the last broadcast episode of the original 26-season classic run. It features Sylvester McCoy as the 7th Doctor, along with Ace as the companion. As well as this, new foe the Cheetah People is introduced, along with a return for Anthony Ainley's incarnation of the Master. The plot sees the Doctor return Ace to her hometown to visit friends. However, when she discovers that most of her mates are missing, the pair decide that there is something very wrong. As the mysterious Cheetah People travel to Earth, kidnapping the strongest and fittest humans to join the hunt, the Doctor comes face to face with his arch-nemesis for one final showdown. I must say that Survival wasn't at all what I was expecting. For some reason, I'd assumed the main setting would be the planet of the Cheetah People. However, the very start of the story sees the TARDIS land on Earth, where the majority of the first part takes place. I thought the way the plot gradually revealed itself was very clever indeed. Right from the very beginning, we are teased with little hints, such as small black cats parading the streets, or the survival and fitness group at the local youth centre. At first, these elements fail to make sense in relation to each other, although as the plot progresses, all is revealed. It's a really great plot, with two fantastic cliffhangers. I've not seen much of McCoy's era prior to this episode, however I can tell that by this point it's reached a real climax. Much of 80s Who is a bit hit and miss, so it's a shame that just as it started to get really good, the show was cancelled. I also find it ironic that the story is titled Survival, given the show's status at the time, and during the forthcoming wilderness years. The format of this story was another new one for me. This time, the plot was spread over 3 parts. It was a very interesting type of episode to watch, and I must say I think it worked quite well. In the case of this story, the plot was set up in part 1, it developed in part 2, and came to a close at the end of part 3. In my opinion, there was never a dull moment, and the plot constantly kept moving. The 7th Doctor and Ace were great together, a really great dynamic to watch. While 7 was quite mysterious, and came across as a very wise and manipulative character, Ace was a lot more youthful and relaxed. Although she wasn't perfect, I thought she went together with this incarnation of the Doctor very well. It's slightly annoying that she's always calling him Professor, however. The cliffhanger at the end of part 1 was absolutely fantastic in my opinion. We'd been teased with shots of the Master's eyes throughout the first episode, so it was great to see him finally reveal himself when the Doctor was transported to the Cheetah world. I will admit I've not seen much of Ainley's Master in the past, although he gave a fine performance in this story. The fact that he was gradually turning into one of the Cheetah People was an added bonus, and it was scary to watch his transformation occur throughout the episode. For instance, the moment he showed his feline teeth was particularly chilling. The Cheetah People were also a great foe, and I was surprised at how well designed they were. I was expecting them to look a little rubbish if I'm honest, although I actually thought they were realised extremely well. Their costumes really were great, given that the story was made back in the 80s. Was it right to cancel Doctor Who in 1989? It's a controversial question that's often debated among the fandom. It's interesting, as people usually argue that it was the right choice, as the show needed those 16 years off to refresh itself. However, after watching the final classic serial, which was a real step up from the rest of 80s Who, I fail to see how this is the case. I don't entirely disagree, however. Obviously, Survival and Rose are very different, and quite a lot changed about the way television is made during the 16-year gap, so I'm rather 50-50 with this one. To sum up, I thought Survival was an absolutely fantastic story. The plot was very clever, and the 7th Doctor and Ace were a very entertaining duo. The Master was as menacing as ever, and the Cheetah People were a reasonable new foe. I would definitely rank the episode near the top of my list, somewhere near Pyramids of Mars and the Green Death. A full episode ranking list will be revealed once I've seen my final story next week. To conclude the series, next week I'll be moving on to the Paul McGann era with his first Big Finish audio, Storm Warning. Until then, goodbye.